They can give the presentation, how you did, what you presentations, what visualizations you completed, and what visualizations you did the practice. So if you have any doubts in the visualizations or in the Power Query, you can ask. And we'll start with the practical session. We're already continuously going with a practice session only. So what you are doing is create the new project with a simple visualizations with an slices and the synchronized slices, and use the KPI visual, and follow the funnel visual, and apply all the options where you have to do. Can you do it, or we'll go with the session? Anyone want to share the screen? You can share and you can do the practical session. Okay. I think no one is ready to share their screen and do the practice. We got the new topic that is one of the main important thing in the Power BI. That is the main part what we are doing to what we are applying, how the analysis part will do, and how the DAX will be analyzed, how the data set will be analyzed, and we present the data by using the visualizations. And all the things will be explained in the DAX, that is the power pivot in the model. Yeah. DAX means data analysis expression, where we are using these DAX language or the DAX functions. Means these DAX functions will be used in the Power Pivot, that is in the data model. We are applying the DAX functions. For example, if you have a few columns are available in your table, that is the employer name, employer details, employer salary, how employer salary and the bonus, or these tables are available in your table. Those tables are all those columns are all displayed in the data column. So in that particular data, if you want to do anything, or if you want to create a new column, or if you want to create a new measure, or in your data you want to create the new table, we can use these DAX functions to create all the things. It is in a query language or the Power Pivot in the tabular SSAS and the Power BI. In these Power BI, we can use the DAX functions as a very important thing. In these DAX functions, where we can do and what we can do by using these DAX functions means we can create the measures, and we can create the columns, and we can create the tables. If your table is already available in that particular table, if you want to create one column, that means you want to add another column by using some functions or by using some formulas or you by using some query methods. That means adding of the two columns, the subtracting of the two columns, or you have to extract the data. That means in your year column, there is a date, month, year. You need to extract only the year in a separate column. You can use the Dax function. You want to get the only column, that means with a month name, you can get the column name with a month. You want to get the only date, you can get the date. You can use the delimiters also to separate these things, but you can use the Dax function also in the models. That means in the data, you can use the Dax functions also to separate these functions. So we can use the many functions are there in the Dax to get all these things. These DAX functions we have where you have to create the column, you can create the measures, you can create the tables also. How to create, where we have to use, how to use these DAX columns, the DAX functions in the particular data model means, for example, we need to refer the column with the help of the table name as a prefix. X is a table, X is a table name, and ABC is a column name. So how to represent these means, if you want to add the table name contains the spaces, you have to have the column name in the quotations. If you want to write a DAX function, that is a create the column with an year specification means, you can use the column name that is with representation of the year by using the DAX function, anything. So you want to refer or you want to give the column name means you have to refer by using the table name only. Why? Because in the DAX, in the Power BI, you can load the multiple tables. So in our multiple tables, the same column name will be there in the different table. So to give that, to represent that particular column, you have to give the table name in between before of the representing of the column names. That means X is in a table, ABC is the column name. Then we are representing like X of ABC, X of ABC. If your table name will have a space, if your table name will have a space, then you have to represent that particular table name in between of the double quotations. In between of the double quotations. Why we need this in between of the double quotations means, if your table name will have a two words, that means in between of the table name, you are giving a space means, so you have to give it a single representation. For that purpose, we are using a double quotation. And what is the column? What is the measure? What is the difference between the column and measure means? The column, it is a calculated or derived or computed column based on the existing columns with the help of the operators and functions. You can create the columns and those columns will be like this. That is, it is a calculated column or a derived column or computed columns. All the columns can be created by using the existed columns with the help of the operators and functions. If already column is there, that means the column contains the year. The column contains the date of a particular joining date or date of joining or date of relieving. In that particular date of joining, you have the date, month, year. And by basing on these date column only, you can get any three extra columns by using the DAX functions. That is a date, month, year. You can extract the month separately in a separate column. You can extract the year separately by using a separate extra column, or you can extract the date or month or anything by using a separate column by using this date of column, and it will be reflected, it will be refreshed at the date time or a data loaded. What is why you are specifying the same thing, that is the calculated columns or the calculated things will be reflected at the same data format means the measures will not reflect, but it is created when you performed. The measures will be reflect only in the visualization part, not in the data format. We are doing the data columns and the data measures in the data format, data only, but the measures will not reflect in the table, but that will be reflected in the measure in the visualizations. But the columns will perform in the data table, data only, but these will be reflected in that particular data time only. That means in that particular table only. and it will save the data in a model, and this will get a data transfer, or it will occupies the memory in that particular location. And these columns are all the columns is a static columns. It can be used at a date, time, or the textual columns are also used in the columns. And these columns were the intermediate calculation. We can use the columns. We can use the columns in the intermediate calculation, and you can perform any calculation in between of the columns. And one more last point is for a leaf level, that is a least granularity level calculations, we can use the columns also. We can use the columns in the least level, that is a leaf level or the granularity level calculations. And what is about the tables and what is about the measures means the tables are referred by their name, and it can be enclosed with an quotation marks. Why we need a table? Why we need a table creation in the Power BI only, not in the Excel format or in a SQL database format? Why? Because if you already have any two tables with an employer details and the sales details, but you need a one more table extra that which table will specify only the profit, loss, expenditure, how much of the profits will come in a particular month, how much of the profits will get in a particular year, and each will be reflected with an employer ID. Employer ID. These all the details will not be there in the previous two tables, and you need all the details in a single table. For that reason, we are creating the table in the Power BI itself. That means in the Power BI in the data tab itself. So for that reason, if you want to create the table instantly in that particular query, in that particular Power BI, you can create the table by specifying with a new table. And the table name must be which you can't use any special characters, but you can use the yeah. So these tables are referred by their names, and it can be enclosed with the quotation marks. If the table name contains the spaces or special characters like for a table name or table space name, if you are giving any space in between of the name, you have to use the quotation marks. Then only this name will be accepted, and these tables could be the data tables and all the things. So if you want to create a table calculated using the functions, that is a summarize or the values, or you can use the several Dax functions to take in tables as an arguments. And these tables, these functions are usually suffixed with an x, and as an a mini x returns to the minimum value, max x returns to the maximum value, summarize x, summarize, calculated. So these are all the few DAX functions which can use in the tables. And now, what is about the measure? Why the measure is required in the tables, and what not? Why not we use the columns? So in the place of measures, you can use the columns also, but the measures will be an referred by their name in brackets, and these measures will be used with a simple and very calculated. Like you want to get the overall details, that means overall sales summary. You can use the measure to get the summary. That means overall summary, and you can get the total sales values or total profit values. How much of the gross salary you have? How much of the gross profits you got in a single academic year? Or you need an overall representation in the visualization part only, and not to required in the table. So the measure is used only for the displaying purpose only, not for the data will be available. Data will not be available in the table. So the measures will use only for the display purpose, and not will for the referring, or not for using for the calculations. And you can't create the columns by using the measures also. You can't create the columns by using the measures. How to represent these measures means measures are referred by their name in brackets, example measure name, and measures are the best through as in a dynamic aggregations, and these measures are used in the dynamic representation purpose only. and their value will be ultimately depends on the gains at which they are computed, and these table independent and provides the developers with a lot of analytical possibilities. If you want to represent the overall sales representation, and if you want to show the total of the profit, how much of the profit you got in a single academic year, or overall table formats, overall table profits, or overall particular data sets losses. So overall salary, how much you are spending on the employer. So those types of the things will be used by using the measures. Those things will be used by the measures. And if you can see the differences between the measures and columns. Why, in which cases we are using the measures, in which places we can use the columns. First we'll go to the measures. Measures is on a numeric data only, and it can't accept the textual data, and these measures can be used in a filter contest. Filter contest, when you are using in the visualizations, we are using the filters like that only. We can use the measures in the filter contest only, and you can use then a dynamic calculations can be used. So the measures are majorly used for the dynamic calculation from the end users and the Power BI developers. So these dynamic calculations is required when you are performing in the visualizations. When you are performing in the visualizations. In the visualizations, it's not possible to get the calculated measures. For that reason, we are using the measures to get the overall summary of that particular thing. Overall summary of that particular thing. But we can use few options are available to get the summarizations of the overall column, and you can represent that one. But we will, if you use the measures, it will give a clear and a specific representation of the measures. And these results you can only see in the visualization part only, not in the data format. And it is a kind of a view in the SQL, and these visualizations refreshed measures will be refreshed. When you visual refresh, then only the measures will be refreshed. If you want to refresh the data, it won't be refreshed. If you want to see in the visualization part only, then only the measures will be refreshed. And when coming to the column, that is a new column. And we have one more thing, that is a quick measure. This quick measure is also used to just drag and drop the columns, and you can just using the apply the functions. And when you coming to the column is any data type, and these column can be applied by the row level contest. The measures can't be applied in the row level contest. It can be overall like as a filter contest. The column will be represented in the row level contest, and it can be visible in the data, and it can be visible in the data, and it can be displayed in the table. And you can create the new columns by using the created columns. You can create the new columns, and you can create the new measures by using the created columns, and it can occupy the space in the particular CPU, or it can occupy the CPU memory, and it can use the more CPU memory if you have the bulk amount of the databases. And we can see the column results in the data tab, but you can see the same thing in the visualization tab also. And it is a kind of a table only, but it don't have any some specific measures, and it can be specific regulations, rules and regulations are not there for the column. The column can be created same as the column which is already available. And when the source data is refreshed, then the column will be refreshed. So there is no specific refreshment, or the specific alignment will not be possible in the measures. So this is the difference between the measure and column. Only one thing you have to remember, that is measure will be used in the visualization part only. Column will be used in the table, and measure will not be displayed in the table. Column will displayed in the table. You can perform the measure by a single refreshment, that is in a filter contest. You can perform the column in the row level contest. And you can see here in the Power BI, profits can be calculated by using the measure or calculated column. The measure would be definitely by a DAX expression, like sum is in a table name, revenue is in a column name. Here sum is a table name, cost is the column name. So you can create the measure by using the profit measure is equal to sum of revenue minus sum of cost, or the sum is in a table name, revenue is in a column name, or else you want to create the total sales is equal to sum of employee salary, sum of employee salary. Sum is an a DAX function, employee salary is an a table name with column name. So this measure can be calculated and it can be evaluated upon the visual interaction at the level of the plotted graphs, and those can be used as a hard visuals. So you can view the hard visuals by using the measures. When you want to create the calculated column, would you it defines as profit columns that is equal to fact sales revenue. Fact sales is in a table name, revenue is in a column name, minus fact sales cost. Fact name is in a table name, cost is in a column name. Or else you can create the multiple, you can use the multiple options are there to create the calculated columns, like when you go with an a DAX functions, we have an a table date and time functions, aggregated functions, logical functions, and the month, year, date, order. So like this, you can have many functions are there, some X. So these are all the functions we are using in the DAX. You have a number of functions for every calculation part, for every operation part, for every whatever you want, you can use an a simple DAX functions to apply that particular columns. So these columns would be evaluated upon the date refreshments on the every row. The values of the columns would be regraded, and it is filtered when the plotted on the visuals. So you can see the key features. What are the concepts of the DAX means? You can use the variables, operators, functions, and errors, or the exception handling and parameters. If you applied any DAX function in an error, automatically it will throw the error or the exception handling things. You want to know the error, you can just click on that particular DAX function. Automatically it will show way syntax of that particular function, and you can use that particular syntax, how to write that particular things will be things. The main difference of the calculated columns and measures will be I will already discuss. And what are the main syntax requirements or follow you have to follow when you are writing in a DAX functions, when you are writing in a DAX formulas. DAX formulas are very similar to the formulas you type in the Excel table only. Same how you are writing the Excel formulas in your Excel table. Like that only we are writing the DAX formulas in the Power BI. A DAX formula always starts with an equal sign. Before the equal sign, you have to give the column name. Before the equal sign, you have to give the column name. Then only in the calculated columns or the calculated things will be stored in that particular column. So give the column name equal to, and you have to start with the DAX formula. For example, if you are getting in a month, you can use the month, or if you are changing the format, you can use the format, or you want to get an year, you can use the year, or you want to get an a sum, you can use the sum. So like this, you can use the many DAX functions after the equal sign, and you can provide any expression that evaluates to a scalar, or any expression that can be converted to a scalar. These includes the following, like plus, minus, multiplication, greater than, less than, and symbol, not symbol, greater than or equal to. So all the scalar constants or the expressions that can be used as the scalar operator. Why these operators are required means, why? Because we are creating the new columns by using the existing column. So in the existing column, you have the data is available. So you want to get that particular data in another format to store in the next, that means a new column. So for that reason, you have to use any one of the operator. Either you want to add that particular thing, you can use, or you want to give a separation of the overall full date to a half date, or you want a month name is available, you want to get that particular month number, or a day number is available, you want to get the day name, or you want to short the month name, or you want to enlarge the month name, or you want to get a specific date columns only will be highlighted. Like that, you can use all the functions which are there in the DAX. And to reference to that particular columns or tables, the DAX language always uses the tables and columns as an input to the functions and never an array or arbitrary set of values. So DAX functions will not use the array or arbitrary set of values. And these operators, constants, and the values which are provided as an expression only. And those expressions, by using those expressions only, we can specify that thing. For example, if you are using a column DAX function that is equal to 3 means automatically the output will be the equal to 3 only. So when you are applying the column name that is a sum of the total salary. Why? Because we already have in two columns that uh, salary column, bonus column. So these two columns are already available in the table, but you want to know that how much of the total salary a employer getting in that particular data set. So you are giving us a table name as column name as total salary is equal to sum of, or else give the only that particular column name. The column name will be the employer salary plus employer bonus. If you click on enter, automatically the addition of those both columns will be reflected in the new column that is called the total salary. That is called the total salary. So like that, you can apply the many DAX functions in the formula bar. You can apply the many DAX functions in the formula bar. Some DAX functions will return the table instead of the scalar, and it must be wrapped in a function which can be evaluates the table that is a return of the scalar. Unless the particular table is in a single column or single row table, then it is treated as a scalar value. When you want to represent the pi indicator, you can use the pi indicator. You must always type pi. That means in braces only we have to write the formulas, not in the outside of that particular thing. And how the things can be used, and what are the major and what are the important functions in the DAX means. DAX provides the following type of the functions. What are those functions? Date and time functions, filter functions, information functions, logical functions, mathematical and trigonometrical functions, statistical functions, and text functions. Each function will have a number of DAX functions out there. For a date and time function only, we have around 50 to 70 functions out there. And the filter functions also can be used for the filtering process, and the information functions also use logical functions, mathematical functions, statistical functions, and the textual functions. We have a lot of functions will be there when you apply the DAX. So DAX is not a simple and a single concept. This concept is shows only that how to use the DAX functions according to that particular table. Depend on the particular table, you have to select what type of functions are required to get that extract that particular table, and you can use the more on the expressions. So according, you have only the table that is the employer details only with the salary packages. So, but the client will ask you that I need the average of the salary, maximum of the salary, on which month I am spending a more salary, on which month I am spending the low salary, on which month the employers has not came to college, and how much work they are doing, what is the particular results, and what is the calculated thing. All the things are required, but he gave only the details of the few details only. You have to retrieve the details by using the previous or the existing columns what you are available. So for that, you have to use any one of the functions which can be extract the information in that particular thing, in that particular thing. So you can use any one of the functions where you have the in the Power BI, or you can use the DAX functions. The Microsoft Power BI itself have a website that they syntaxes are available and the multiple functions are available. You can get and do the practice by using those DAX functions. And what are the major operators which can be used in the DAX? We have using the parenthesis operator. You want to write any DAX function, you have to write in between of these only. Sum of, that means sum in parentheses only, you have to specify the column names and the table names, and you can use any one of the arithmetic operator or comparison operators or the text concatenation operator on the logical operators. So you can use all these operators in between of these parentheses only, in between of these parentheses, and you can use few things in the outside of this parenthesis also, but you have to close the overall thing in before of the Dax. Sum is an a Dax function. You can write the logic in between of these parentheses only. And these are the few operators. These operators are the general operators only, but you can use all these operators in the Dax functions. But you can use all these operators in the Dax functions when you are writing or when you are performing all the things. So what is a major thing you have to remember means you have to take care of the logical things. If you miss a single comma also, it throws an error. Single comma also, it throws an error. And if you not close any one of the braces, it throws an error. If you want to miss the first on the, that means ending of the braces, it will accept. But the function must be closed if you are open that particular function. If you open that particular function. This is about the simple DAX and how to use an operator. These are the operators we are using, and these are the functions. These functions will have the many things. We have the many things. How these functions will be reflected means these functions will have a lot of things. I will explain you just we'll start with a simple date functions. Simple date functions will start. 1 minute, I will share you the screen. To load all the things, I'm loading the data set, which simple data set. I'm using this one. First, to apply the DAX functions, you have to know what are the columns are available, what are the fields are there in that particular data table, that particular data set. So I'm using the four tables. I'm not performing the transformation operation. I'm not performing any transformation operation. I perform directly to the load the operations. It's loading. So I loaded the work details of the customers. In this data set, we have the customer table, dim date table, product table, and the sales table. So first, you have to see what type of columns are available, what data set you have to load it, and what you want to do, and which functions you have to perform. Which functions you have to perform. In the sales data, in the sales table, in the sales table, we already have the due date. See here, it will be easy to. So in the sales table, we have the product key, order date, due date, ship date, customer key, currency key, and all the things are available already. So here we have the product standard cost and all the things are there. So you want to visualize the how much of sales you got, how much of the sales amount you got. So here we have the summary of the sales amount. It is already displayed, but you need to get what is the summary of this one, summary of this one, or else you have to get the what is the profit, how much of profit you got, how much of the profit you got. So to get a summary of this one, if you go to the home, you get all the things here. If you see here in the top, you have a new measure, quick measure, new column, and new table. If you want to create a new table, you can select this new table. If you want to create the new column, you can select this new column. And if you want to create a new measure, you can create the new measure. First, we will see. First, we will start the new measure. How to create the new measure? How to create the new measure? So I am creating the new measure with the measure name you have to give. The measure name will be the total salary. Total salary. Here I am taking in a sum function and I am giving the column name. What column name I am giving? Which table I am using means I am using the sales table, and I am taking the salary amount. So sales table, salary amount. I am closing the braces and I click on the enter. So it will working and it created the total salary measure here. You see here in the left side corner, in the right side corner, you can see the total salary measure. These measure will not be displayed in the table. If you see the overall table, you can't see the total measure. If you see in the table, you can't display the total measure here. Why? Because the total salary is in a measure. The measure will not be reflected in the data table. The measure will not be reflected in the data table. Where it will reflect means if you go to the visualization, you can just take a card over here. In the card, you can get the total salary. You can get the total salary here. Total 29.36 millions will be the total salary of that particular sales table. So if you want to see this total salary in the data table, you can't see here. Why? Because it is visible here, but it won't reflect in the table. It won't reflect in the table. Why? Because that is a property of the measure. That is the properties of the measure. Measure won't reflect in the table, and this measure will reflect in the visualization part only. Visualization part only. That is about the measure. If you want to create the new column, you can create the new column. What column you required first? First, you have to check that what type of the column you required. What type of the column you required. For example, if you see here, due date is there. Due date. In the due date, we have the day. In the due date, you have the day, month, and year. Day, month, and year, and it specifies the day name also. So you want to extract the only year into a separate column. You have an year column here. You don't have the year column in this table. So when you want to see the details of that particular year only, you can create the new column. Click on the new column. Click on the year column, and you can use the column name as order year number. equal to, you can use the function as year. You can use the function as year, and you can select the sales due date. Sales is a table name and due date is the column name. Then close the brace, click on enter. Then you will get the separate column here, that is order year number. Order year number. In this due date, the order date is 2007. So you got year separately in a separated column. Separated column. No, you need the month name also separately. Month name as well separately. So again, you want to create the new column means go to the new column. Go to the new column and give the column name as month name, and you don't have the month separately, so use the format, and the format, in the format I am taking the sales due date, comma, in double quotations I am giving the month 4 mm and close the brace, click on enter. Then you will get the month name separately. If you see in the existing table, in the existing column, you have the month name with the date. That means Monday, comma, August 13, 2007. I extracted month name separately by using the format Dax function. By using the format Dax function. Format Dax function. You don't want the name in the format of the August. You need in the number format. That means August means 8th month. You want to get the month name as a number format. Then you have to create another column, that is month number. Month number is in a column name. You can give any column name which is rememberable and which can be reflects references purpose only, equal to month. Function is already available, so just month, and give the sales due date, close the brace and click on enter. Then you see the result, what you got. That means August is in a month name and we are giving as a month number separately by using the month function. By using the month function. Okay, so like this you can create the multiple columns. You can create the multiple columns according to that particular dependency. You want to project what you required. If a column is included with all the details, you can extract all the details. Or you want to apply any calculations, you can apply the calculations. Or you want to apply any logics, you can apply the logics. By which cases, by which functions you can apply. Is my presentation is visible? Why? Because in my Google Meets it's showing as in a blank. That's why I'm asking. Uh, So you can use all the DAX functions according to that particular dependency, according to that particular table properties. You can use all the functions. So I'm applied only the date and time functions now. In the date and time functions also we have a many functions are there. You can use all functions according to that particular table. According to that particular table. The main intention of these overall date and time functions, filter functions, information functions is to get the better visualizations, to get the better visualizations and to can perform maximum level of the visualizations, how the values will be reflected on all the things. So the date and time functions, filter functions, information functions, all the things will have the many things, many values will be there. So for example, in the date and time functions only, we use only the three or four. That means the format, month, format, and year. So in the date functions only, we have a date value function, day function, e date, e month, hour, minute, now, seconds function, time function, time value function, today function, weekday, week number. Like this, we can have many functions are available. So you can use all those things. You can use all those things within a simple and uh, very easy format. So you can use all the functions. You can do the practice by using all the functions. So to do the practice, you have to learn how to apply the functions in that particular table. If your table or else if your column is not perfect to apply the particular DAX functions, means you have to use the perfect data set. You can download any data sets. Multiple data sets are available in the web. You can download from the internet and you can apply the DAX, all DAX functions in these particular tables. The particular tables, you can apply all the things. If you need a week number also, it will also can be extracted by using in a single column. So we can extract, we can get in a more columns by using in a single column in a table. If you want to create the new table also, if you just select the new table and you can get the columns from the other table. Now we did only in one table, we are taking the information from one table to the another columns. So you can get the information, you can get the table information or the column information from the other tables also, which is already loaded in the Power BI. If any table is loaded in the Power BI, you can get the information, you can extract the information from that particular column or table. Can use that particular column or table, and you can use all the things with this only. And mainly you have to use these operators only. You can't use the more than these operators. Majority of the operators will be usable by the arithmetic operators and comparison operators only. Maximally we are using the arithmetic operations, arithmetic operators and comparison operators in the DAX functions. You can observe that these things, these are the two differences we are performing in the measure and column. Maximum, the measures will be used for the visualizations only, which can be in the card details to get the overall information, overall sales data, overall profit information, gross of the gross information. Those in those cases only we are using the measures. Mainly we are concentrating on the columns only. We are writing all functions for the columns only. We are writing all functions. That means all DAX functions for the columns only. So you can use the columns, all DAX functions. Practice the time and date functions first. Why? Because those are very understandable. So you can get easily understand when you got in a on the loop. So you can easily get all the things within a flow. So go within a flow and you can prepare well for the DAX functions only. And we will discuss some few more DAX functions on the tomorrow session. If you have any doubts, you can ask me now.
Sir, can you explain how to extract the name of the month, sir?
How to extract the
Month
name
name.
of the month?
Yes,
1 minute,
yes.
ma'am. I am sharing. Yeah. In the name of the month, we are using the format. Yeah. In the name of the month, we are getting the information. We are getting an existing table with a reference table. A reference column is due due date. We are extracting the month name from this due date. So for that, I am giving the column name as in a month name, and we am using a format function. This format function, this format function will extract the month name by using the sales. Sales is in a table name, and the due date is in a column name, and I'm giving an a operator that is a comma, and I'm specifying the four m's. Why? Because the characters will take from the minimum four. For that reason, I'm giving an a four m's. If you want to get a day name also, you have to use the same. You have to use the same format, sales due date with a DDD. I'll show you one more column. I'll create the new column. Create the new column. In the new column, I'm getting the day name. Day name is equal to format. What is the value? Value means column name. Which column name? Sales due date, comma, in double quotations. I'm giving the date, DDD. Again, I'm closing the brace, enter. Then I will get the day name of that particular table. So I got the year separately, month separately, month name separately, and the day name separately. My day name separately. So you can use the here day, month, or else if you want any characters are there specifically, that means you can use the those characters also to extract from the text. So like this, you can extract the day name or month name.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Any doubts? Thank you, ma'am. Okay, any doubts? Yeah, Rashikar sir, you can ask me. You can get the all DAX functions through the Microsoft website. There are a lot of DAX functions are available according to your particular table format, according to the particular columns. You can use the respective DAX functions. Okay, any clarifications or any doubts? Okay, ma'am. Yeah, more DAX. Yeah. We just now we started the DAX functions, ma'am. From tomorrow morning and afternoon, we'll go with an DAX only, with all the yeah only practice sessions only, ma'am. We don't have any theoretical part in the DAX. We'll directly go with an practice sessions only. Mm. Okay, ma'am. Thank you. Will we leave? Yeah, thank you, ma'am.